Welcome to the Psychology Podcast, where we give you insights into the mind, brain, behavior, and creativity. I'm Dr. Scott Barry Kaufman, and in each episode I have a conversation with a guest who will stimulate your mind and give you a greater understanding of yourself, others, and the world we live in. Hopefully we'll also provide a glimpse into human possibility. Thanks for listening and enjoy the podcast. Today, it's great to have Erika Lust on the podcast. Erika is an acclaimed adult filmmaker who creates sex-positive, indie adult cinema that portrays sexually intelligent narratives, relatable characters, and realistic hot sex. Her XConfessions project turns the public's anonymous fantasies into explicit and artistic short films, while her recently relaunched LustCinema is a US-based studio with original series and feature-length films for lovers of cinema and sex. In 2015, Erika gave her essential TEDx talk, It's Time for Porn to Change. Her story was also featured in the first episode of the Netflix documentary series Hot Girls Wanted, Turned On, directed by Rashida Jones. This year, Erika was named as one of the BBC 100 Women's Most Influential Women of 2019. That's pretty impressive. Erika, so great to chat with you today.
Hey, it's very great to chat to you too.
Well, I'm really excited to chat with you today. I actually came across your work first when I was watching that documentary Hot Girls Wanted on Netflix, and I was so fascinated by this whole new world of I don't know what feminist porn is that what it's being called, or this just new genre.
It's one of the things it's being called, because I think that people are struggling a little to try to find an etiquette, a name for it. What is it? Is it porn by women? Is it porn for women? Is it artistic porn? Is it, ethical porn? What should we all call it? And I mean, we could definitely talk about feminist porn. One of the things that I'm really pushing for is getting women into porn, not only in front of the camera, but behind the camera. Women as, creative people thinking about what do we want to see? What do we like? What kind of situations would we, get turned on by? And then taking, the action in our own hands and start making, instead of just feeling excluded from the genre or fed up with all the chauvinistic shit that's out there on the internet.
So let me ask you, so then what's wrong with, as you see it, what are some specific things that you think are wrong with the standard sort of, if you go to like Pornhub sort of thing?
Well, I think there's many things that's wrong with it. There's definitely a structural problem where women are getting used as some kind of sexual objects for male fantasy, where women are being this kind of items, objectified, and the whole purpose of them is not having their own pleasure, but giving pleasure to other people. And then what I see all the time is the language, how they are treating women. I mean, if you can go to any of the tube sites online and you will see terms like, bitch, slut, nasty. It's kind of, bang her up, choke her, nail, destroy tiny teens, for example. It's something that you can totally find online on any of these tube sites. I don't think that it's a respectful language. I don't feel like I can identify with the situations, the sexual situations that I'm presented to. I don't like the way women are represented, but I don't like the way men are represented either.
I was going to say.
And I get upset when I see all this kind of fetishization that they are doing based on, our ages, our ethnicity, our body types, how we are getting divided into groups, how you have a feeling that it's not really about portraying human sexuality or kind of, people coming together having the best possible sex and, this wonderful chemistry together. But it feels more like some kind of construct where it's just about showing body parts bumping into each other somehow.
So yeah, can you tell me a little bit about what users could expect to see when they view the stuff that you've produced and directed? And you also write. Do you write some of the scripts too?
I do.
So you do everything over there.
Most of it I do, actually. Yes.
This must be a fun job for you.
It is. It is a wonderful job to have, actually. I mean, I am so grateful. I'm so happy. And it's been many years now, because I made my first short film 2004. And it's been, quite a journey, really.
I bet.
Yeah.
So can you tell me, in contrast to some of the things you just mentioned, can you tell me what people can expect to see? What do you think is what is the corrective as you see it? Yeah.
Well, I think that sex can be so many different things, obviously. And it's not like there's the perfect formula. So we do that all the time and just repeat it. That's not it, What we are trying to do, we are trying to listening to people, to real people, instead of just, having machines doing the algorithms and telling you what people are clicking on. We are actually thinking about what kind of stories we would like to represent, what kind of people we would like to work with. We're working very hard to get people from diverse backgrounds, people with different body types, people with different ages. I mean, I shot with a couple who were already 70 plus, for example.
Wow.
That's and the film is fantastic. But what we are doing is really it's adult films for people who respect other people and who enjoy cinema and who wants to see something that is just well crafted, well done, shot by myself and my wonderful team and also many of the guest directors that we are working with, because I'm not the only director working for XConfessions and LustCinema. And it's really about understanding the situations and the stories. Who are these people? Why are they interested in each other? Where does this passion comes from? And trying to somehow understand not only looking at the sexual experience, but understanding their emotional connection also at the same time. It's like we're trying to make the best possible cinema we can, but adult cinema where we are not afraid of actually showing the sex, showing the people having the sex.
Yeah, there was a quote from your TEDx talk that I really liked. You said, "The sex can stay dirty, but the values have to be clean." I thought that was really interesting. Yeah.
Respecting people. I mean, in the end, I think that we are all turned on by watching people having sex. It's in our humanity. We come from sex. I mean, I exist. I'm here because two people had sex. Sex is, the most natural thing there is. Sex is the source of life. Sex is everything. It's energy. It's pure energy. So it's sad to see that we live in a society where we are so guilty and we feel so ashamed about our sexuality. I think that we should definitely try to communicate better with other people around sex and around who we are and what we want and what we lust for. It's really something that where people actually can connect a lot instead of feeling so strange from other people, and so that something is wrong with them. I mean, I talk to people all the time telling me, I don't know, I think maybe, there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm a pervert, I have these fantasies and these ideas. And then when you actually get to see other people having the same kind of fantasies and ideas in a film, for example, I think that can really help a lot of people to understand their own needs and their own sexuality. And I get lots of emails, for example, from couples telling me how they have actually used my films to start conversations around sex and about how they feel and what they want, and especially with when it comes to things like submission or domination, BDSM, etc. Where people are having these ideas, but they are so scared to tell their partners about it.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to announce that for the first time ever, I'm taking my Columbia University course online. Starting September 5th, my 8-week online course will help you live a more fulfilling, meaningful, creative, and self-actualized life. Deeply grounded in the core principles of humanistic and positive psychology, the course will help you in your own personal journey to realize your greatest strengths and become more fully human, accepting and becoming flexible with the totality of who you are, so that you can become the person you most want to become. Save your spot today by going to transcendcourse.com. That's transcendcourse.com. Save your spot today and join us. It's going to be really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know folks and helping them realize their full potential. Okay, now back to the show. You mentioned earlier about unethical porn, and you mentioned some of these words that are used to describe women and objectification. So let me just play devil's advocate for a second, because I love doing that on the podcast. What do you have in the case of example where you have two consenting adults? Let's say the porn is shot ethically, but they both are really turned on by, in that moment, degradation and humiliation. Do you see that as necessarily unethical? Do you see what I'm saying?
That could definitely be okay. I think that what we really need to look into when we are talking about the adult industry is the production values. It's how it works behind the cameras, obviously, and making sure that the performers, the people who are acting out the fantasies, are wanting to do everything that is included, that they have had the kind of dialogues before talking about their boundaries, what they like, what they don't like, into detail, obviously, if we are talking about something where different kind of degradation will be included. So those are conversations that we obviously have before a shooting, actually quite long before a shooting, when we start the casting process, to make sure that we are casting the right people. But then these are conversations that we also need to have this, during the whole process, the same day of a shooting. The performers need to know that if they can change their mind whenever they want to, that we can always, cut and start talking about where this is going and if there's something we want to change.
I love that you're opening up this conversation. It's not something that's really discussed that openly, and I don't know if I'm even taking a risk covering it on the psychology podcast, but I just love when people have really honest, respectful conversations about things that are so prevalent, but no one's talking about. Something it's astonishing to me just how popular porn is. And we're talking about 1/3 of every Google search is pornography. And it also seems like on these standard porn sites, it seems like the more taboo or wrong a certain porn is, the more views it has. And we're talking millions and millions and millions of views. So why is it so popular? And especially why is the most taboo stuff the most popular? What do you think this has to say about human nature? Since this is the psychology podcast.
Well,
is that a fair question?
It's a fair question, and it's a difficult question to answer, obviously. Human nature, it's a big subject, and it's a complex subject. I think that it would be interesting to talk a little about how the adult industry works, really, because I think that there's lots of people not being aware of what is going on. They kind of seem to believe believe that porn is just for free, and that's, it's out there on the internet. Like you're saying, you can search whatever, you can get into any site in just a click, and you can see the nastiest stuff you would like to watch, and you don't even have to tell anyone. It's all private, kind of. But I think it's really important to understand that this is an industry, and that what people think is porn for free online is actually, most of that content is stolen content taken from, content providers who have spent money in producing that content. And then they see it uploaded to all of these sites without being able to earn anything from those videos. And the same goes obviously for the performers. And today, I mean, most of the tube sites that you probably know by name, I don't need to mention them because you know them, But
what are you saying about me, Erika?
They're not only you, all of you listening to this, you know them, you've been there,
What are you saying about my listeners?
Cleared your historial on your computer, but I know you've been there. But I think it's interesting.
Honestly, if you saw my history, it would be Erika Lust free trial that you all gave me.
Oh my God, free trial.
I mean, if you want to know the truth, if you want to know the truth.
Okay, but
research. I was doing research.
No, but that's great to hear. Thank you so much for supporting indie porn, because that's another way of talking about it. And I use that term quite often, actually, independent pornography, because it's made by, independent producers and directors and small companies and performers, etc. Because the adult industry is mostly owned by one company. It's one company based in Montreal, Canada, called MindGeek. And they are the owner to almost all of the sites that you by name, and many of the important big studios also, because their business has been the last 12 years to, they started putting out videos for free on the internet. That kind of made it difficult for the industry to have their pay sites working. People abandoned the pay sites. They went for the free online content that was stolen. And then little by little, when people, went out of business, this big company decided to start buying the industry. So now they are owners of, I would say, 75-80% of the industry. It's one company. It's a monopoly. And I think that if people would be more aware of how this works, and they would do, a parallelism to other industries, and starting to be mindful in their consuming of pornography, I think we could get to a better place. This is no different from big pharma. You heard the idea of big pharma, right? Or big food. We're talking about a few companies, very big conglomerates, owning the whole food industry or the whole pharma industry, And the funny thing is that they are not there really to make the best possible food with the best healthy ingredients for all of us. No. They are interested in earning money and concentrating power. And this is happening, it's big data, big food, big pharma, big fashion, whatever. And the same is happening with big porn. So I, try when I talk to people, I say, hey, I think it's great that you want to watch porn, but I would like you to think a little about how the industry works, about who's owning it, about if you agree with the values that you are seeing in the porn that you are watching. Please, don't just look at the images. Also read the text. Try to figure out if you like what you are actually watching. Because I hear so many times people saying, I didn't realize I didn't even think about it. I just thought that porn was this kind of dirty, thing that I had for myself during late hours at night, and nobody really cared about what was going on. But people do care. This is actually there is an industry. There are lots of people making, they're living out of porn, people who have values and who have ideas. And maybe if maybe you should use the same strategy as when you go to the supermarket, because I know that many people today have become aware, and they are actually checking out the producers on the labels. When they go to the supermarket, they are thinking, hey, I'm going to buy some eggs. Am I going to buy the cheapest possible eggs coming from, this horrible factories where they are, killing off the birds, and they are standing on each other, and they are, in cages where they can't even lift their wings? Am I going to buy those kind of eggs? Or am I going to go to a farmer market? Am I going to, check that they have actually, that they are free range, etc., etc.? If you use that same philosophy, that same idea as a consumer, you have power. You have power to decide where you want to put your money. And the funny thing is that even if you say, okay, money, you're talking about money. I just watch the free stuff on the internet. I'm not paying anybody for this. But actually, you kind of are, because you are paying with your information. You are paying with your clicks. You are telling the world important information about your values and how you would like to see the world working, right?
So you're saying there's a cost in your soul?
There's a cost in your soul. That's what I'm saying.
Is that what you're saying?
But I do believe there is, actually. And I think that we should try to be honest and kind and fair. There should be, fair trade, even in porn.
Oh, here on that. So that's one important issue. I'm glad you brought that up in terms of the production and how a lot of the content is stolen. And we shouldn't be supporting stolen content. Another question I want to talk about is, how prevalent do you think exploitation is of the actors, in the porn?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's important to know that they are 18, because otherwise the producers would be charged by the law. So they are very careful to make sure that people are actually 18. Then there's another aspect of it, and it's that many producers make them look like they were younger, which I honestly don't think is a very ethical thing to do. But it's important to separate what's legal and what's not.
Yeah, they don't know exactly what they're getting into, and they maybe sign a contract or something, and they sort of feel pressured to do certain acts they don't want to do. And I'm just wondering how prevalent that was, because I am generally concerned about that.
Well, I think that is something that's happening in a lot of industries, not only in the porn industry. Young people are obviously, being exploited in that sense. It happens in the fashion industry a lot. It happens in Hollywood quite a lot. It happens, it can happen in a law firm when a young, intern gets in there and is in that kind of position where she obviously doesn't have any power and getting pushed into different situations. So yes, it happens in this world, and it does happen also in the adult industry, obviously. But saying that, I think at the same time, it's very important to understand that it's not the only way that the adult industry is working. Obviously, the adult industry is a respectful industry where there's lots of people working that are, adult and aware and secure about themselves and doing this line of work because it's something that they really like and where they believe that they are earning a fair amount of money for their time. Because in the end, we are talking about a labor relationship, obviously, right? Where you are exchanging your work for money. This is a capitalistic world we live in, and that is how it works. But I think that the adult industry in general have been trying very hard lately to make sure that they are getting better standards for performers, more guidelines, more bills of rights, so people are aware of what rights they have. But there will always be bad apples in there.
I'd like to take a moment to talk about our sponsor, BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? For quite a lot of us right now during this coronavirus pandemic, we are struggling with our most fundamental basic needs, such as our needs for security, connection, and opportunities to master our work. I think all of us could use some therapy right now. I know I sure could, which is why I've really been enjoying working with a professional therapist at BetterHelp, so I can realize the best version of myself, even under the current circumstances. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist, and you can start communicating with your therapist in just under 24 hours. Note that it's not a crisis line and it's not self-help. It is professional counseling done securely online. There's a broad range of expertise available, which may not be locally available in many areas. In fact, the service is available for clients worldwide. What I really like about BetterHelp is that you can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as you typically have to do with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is really committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit their website and read the testimonials that are posted daily. Here's a recent one, for example. Camilla helped me turn my life around. Everything has been so positive for me since our first session. Deep gratitude. I'm pleased to announce a special offer for listeners of the Psychology Podcast. You can get 10% off your first month of professional counseling by going to betterhelp.com/psychpodcast. That's betterhelp.com/psychpodcast. Join the over 800,000 people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. Okay, now back to the show. Yeah, and how do you know what you're watching is a bad apple or not? Is your argument that at least if someone goes to Erika Lust Films, they know with the brand that there's no risk? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
I mean, you can only obviously care for the people exactly that I'm working with. I cannot assure anyone outside my company and outside my production.
Yes, of course.
So
but
that
do you see what I'm saying?
But you know what I would add to consumers, if you are a consumer and you feel worried about this aspect, which I think you should, definitely, I agree with you 100%. I think you should try to inform yourself. I think that you should check the websites where you are navigating, if there's an about page, if there's anyone responsible, if there are people actually, with a name and a picture and an interview where you can listen to their values and understand who they are. If you can watch a making of from that film shooting to see how were the actors actually treated, so you get an idea. How is this company working, right? What are their standards, their working standards? And maybe you can watch an interview with a performer that you are, watching, and you can make sure that that's a person that you feel is in a good place doing the job she or he is doing because they want to do it, right? So that's also, I think, part of your responsibility as a consumer to make sure that the adult content that you are consuming is within your standards.
That's a great answer. I have so many questions for you because I just my mind.
You see me, I talk and I talk and I talk.
Well, look, I think it's so obvious. You're so passionate about this, and it's almost like you were born to do this. Like, this is your purpose. It's your mission. It's so clear. Clear.
It has become that, really.
Yeah. It's so clear.
But also, I mean, life happens. I mean, for me, really, this has been a long journey, and I mean, it started many years ago when I was a young woman trying to find out who I was and what I wanted in my life, and I started to watch porn. And back then, I had that feeling that something didn't really work for me. And the funny thing was that when I started to talk to people around me, to, my female friends and my male friends, I realized quite quickly that most of my male friends, they were okay with porn. That was part of, what of their sexual life, of their sexual experiences. It was just part of it. They hadn't really thought about it or reflected on it. It was just part of what they did, And so many of my female friends had similar feelings to mine, that somehow we felt left out. We were not really the center of the porn somehow. We were supposed to be the beautiful object. We were supposed to be there to seduce and to be sexy and to be, wonderful and to have all the fake orgasms. But it wasn't really, about our pleasure. And for me, that's kind of how all of this started. I wanted to try. It was an experiment, really. I tried to make a film to see, would it be possible to make, an adult film where I could actually kind of picture myself, where I could identify with the female character, and where I could, could feel that the sex was equal, and it was, what was happening was all right, and that it felt good for her. Because that's also something that I'm really missing out on when sometimes I go to these tube sites to check out what is happening, and I see all these women having all these fake orgasms without even touching themselves. And I feel upset, because I know that today, porn has become sex education, whether we like it or not. That's reality. That's how it works. All these young people who they haven't touched another person. They've never been with another person, but they watch so much porn. And then they start believe that what they see online is how sex should be performed. And it's not true. It's just not true. All men are not, sex machine, penetrative sex machine, getting in there like, babe, here I come, That's not how it works. And all women are not this kind of, hey, here I am, I'm a bimbo, will you fuck me, That's not who we are. So I would like to see, my world portrayed in adult films, my world, where people that I find sexy are getting together, having a good time, That was kind of, that's why I started to do this. But then it has become even more, because I it became really activism for me. And as I also in this process during these years, became a mother, now I have 2 daughters. Oh my God. And I just feel, the world need better sex films, We need something else. We need an alternative to all that shit that's out there.
Yeah, healthier, kind of growth-oriented. That's my phrase. That's like a very human. I'm a humanistic psychologist. That's growth-oriented kind of porn that kind of uplifts us and makes us feel ultimately more satisfied with ourselves and our partners. Is what I'm seeing on your site.
And the wonderful thing with cinema is that it has this capacity to make you understand other people, to connect with other people and with their desires, and just, suddenly the world becomes bigger than just your little sexuality, kind of, because it's so easy to think that what you are is the way that everybody is. And I think it's really enriching to watch other people doing other stuff. And,
Right.
People outside your own genre and, kind of coming together and you say, wow, can sex be all of those different things? Maybe I'm interested in something I didn't even know I was going to be interested in. It's challenging. It's I think it's just wonderful how it can help you explore more about yourself.
Porn can probably be a good way of exploring the full depths of your wants and desires, as well as other parts of your psyche that don't even have to do with sex, but sex gets attached to it. There's a study that David Buss and Cindy Meston did on why people have sex, and there was like over, I think, 500, 600 different things. They had distilled into different categories, but people basically have sex for every kind of human need one could, that is on offer among humans. Maybe it's just self-esteem, maybe it's revenge, maybe it's for love, in intimacy. There's different reasons why people are interested in sex.
Of course. Power, money, love.
There's so many things. Humans are so complex, and sex seems to fulfill a wide variety of psychological drives. I would love to unpack with you this word objectification. I'm really trying to wrap my head around this because it's still objective. Even in your movies, this is what the field is. I mean, you're objectifying in one sense, you're focusing on the sexual domain, the body. How much of your stories, really expound on the personality of the actor and their wants and dreams in life? Do you know what I mean? It's still pornography in one sense. Of it's people are going there to look for sex, or else they'd go somewhere else. They'd go to the movies. I'm trying to think about this very rationally, right? So, what is the difference in the kind of objectification happening in your movies versus the kind happening? Because maybe that's the level of nuance that I'd like to have about this.
Well, I also think it depends a lot on the movie. I made so many different movies, and every situation is different. So I cannot really give you a formula where I say, this is the way I do it. It all depends on the film and the situation and what we are trying to show in those circumstances, and on the performers. Because what I try to do a lot is, talking to performers, connecting with performers, trying to understand who they are, what they like, who they would like to work with, because that is, I've come to the conclusion that the best situations is when you set up people who really wants to work together, when you have people who already have that chemistry, people who are desiring each other, people who are good friends, people who are, porn performers, they have, favorite coworkers, the same as the rest of us, So that's something that we're trying to work on. When it comes to objectification, obviously I'm trying to shoot sex so it looks hot, because my ideas with my films is to turn you on. Obviously, that's what we are looking for. At the same time, sometimes we want to challenge you. Sometimes we want you to, start thinking about other things. Just because it's a film based on the idea to turn you on, that doesn't mean that it can't be anything else at the same time. So one part of the work is obviously very visual, where we're talking about, what to show and how to show it, and in what light, and, from what angle, and how to frame it, and all the cinematic work that's in there. And then when we get into the cutting and the editing, how are we going to put these images together to get a good rhythm and to make them, even better than maybe what it was at the actual shooting. So that's one part. But the other part, I think, is is kind of to try to get to understand our characters and try to get to that point where it's not only about showing their bodies, but it's also about understanding how they connect with each other and their personal kind of emotional journey in that story, and to try somehow to portray that moment of intimacy. How can you see that?
Intimacy. What's that?
Yeah, it's fascinating, I think. But you see glimpses of it sometimes. Sometimes it's not there, and sometimes it's just all over the place. It's you can't really touch it. But when you see it, you have this feeling that it's there.
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'd like to take a moment to talk about one of our sponsors, Helix Sleep. Are you not able to sleep lately because of stress and anxiety? It's definitely understandable, given the current state of the world. Psychological research shows that high-quality sleep is so important, though, for stress and well-being, and your choice of mattress really can matter a lot. In the past few years, I've been on a search for the perfect mattress, and let me tell you, I've gone through so many mattresses. My parents and friends make fun of me, or have made fun of me continuously. But here's the thing. I had no idea what it feels like to be well rested until I tried a Helix mattress. Helix Sleep makes personalized mattresses right here in America and ships them straight to your door with free no-contact delivery, free returns, and a 100-night sleep trial. To choose a mattress, Helix made a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. If you like a mattress that's really soft or firm, you sleep on your side or back on your back or on your stomach, or you sleep really hot, with Helix there's a specific mattress for each and everybody's unique taste. I took the quiz and I was matched with the Helix Sunset Luxe because I wanted something that felt soft, and I sleep mostly on my side all night. I've got to say, I love my Helix mattress. I wake up with zero back and neck pain, which I had quite a bit of before I tried this new bed. I wake up really feeling refreshed and ready to work out or start my work. I really do love Helix, but you don't have to take my word for it. Helix was awarded the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ, Wired Magazine, and Apartment Therapy. Just go to helixsleep.com/psychology, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. They even have a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you probably will. Right now, Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders. Get up to $200 off at helixsleep.com/psychology. That's helixsleep.com/psychology. This is a really good deal. So get a new bed today and treat yourself. Okay, now back to the show. I think the research does show that the most satisfying sexual experiences are those where there's some sense of care attached to it. I could send you the studies if you want to see. There's some, even just affectionate touching. It doesn't have to be like you're in love with the person.
No, of course not.
But you see what I'm saying? The research shows that just if there's just care somewhat in the situation, people self-report having the most sexual experiences. And not only that, but they report having more meaning in life. So actually, my colleague Todd Kashtan did a study recently showing that sex with this kind of with affection can actually increase one's reports of meaning in life the next day. And I think that's kind of
beautiful. It's beautiful. But we are all, I think as human beings, we are all very thirsty for affection and for feeling that we are cared for and that we are special, and that, I mean, it's obviously something that we want.
I agree. But regardless of whether or not you're male or female, obviously, we all want that. I thought you made a really good point earlier in our conversation. You made Well, you made a lot of good points today,
Thanks,
but there was one of your good points early in the conversation. You said something that I've been thinking a lot about, and I think that we objectify in this kind of, we'll call it the standard model of porn. It objectifies men too. It's like equally objectifying both men and women. It reduces men to just a 50-inch penis, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, because I did some research, watching your my free trial you and your production team gave me, and maybe I thought way too much about it. I was watching these movies. I was doing like my own analysis of things. Can I just tell you some things I'd like to see more of, like, in terms of ethical porn?
That is what is so great. That's what I love so much, when people, can give us feedback and tell us, I would love to see more of this. I would like, that changes everything. That's what we need. We need to hear more of those honest, opinions. Yeah.
I think a lot of young men watch porn and they start to get body dysmorphic issues. This can happen to men too. You watch a lot of porn you think that you're inferior if your penis isn't 50 inches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see much variability even on your site in terms of penis size for men. So that's one thing. I wonder, what you could do along those lines.
Should we cut them off? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But it's something that we talk about sometimes. And what happens is that so many of the male performers are people with particularly big penises. It's kind of the way it is, so it's not that easy. It's not with men, it's not that easy to find people who are willing to do this kind of work and who are not,
That's a really good point, and I can totally see that. I'm trying to think of, I really like this idea of equality of sexual enjoyment in these porn movies. That, to me, I find it very hot when there's a real exchange of energy, and it looks like they're both really, really like aroused. I think that the pendulum can swing from one to the other, and then we still have the same thing going on. So in the one sense, you can have this from a male perspective, and it would make sense from a male perspective that the focus would be on male pleasure, because all humans are pretty much selfish. So you could make the same argument that the pendulum could swing the other way, where from a female perspective, it's the focus is on female pleasure, but that's still the same thing. It's still, we're talking about, what is the fantasy from a women's perspective? What is the fantasy from a male perspective? This more of equality, it seems really cool, and you're getting at that of, well, it's not just about one person's pleasure to the exclusion of the others. To me, that seems more, we don't need to call it feminist porn or masculist porn.
When I say, for example, when I use the term feminist porn, if we talk about that, what I'm talking about really is having women, participating behind the cameras.
Yes.
That's, for me, that's one of the most important components when I'm talking about feminist porn. And then it's about how we are representing people on the screen. And I'm not only talking about women there, I'm talking about everyone, about all different genders that's out there. I'm talking about how we are seeing the sex, who is initiating, who's taking action, who's taking care of themselves, etc., etc. It's the whole package. It's, when I say feminist porn, I don't mean a bunch of, women, ugly-looking women with hair under their arms and strap-ons getting out into the world saying, hey, now we're going to fuck all the men in their butts, But obviously, that is what some of the people I'm talking to is,
and I wasn't imagining that. I wasn't, for the record, I was not imagining that. Now I can't help it.
See that movie.
Well, no, I was like, now, thank you. Now that you've put that in my head, I just love that you're so open to just talk about this with me critically. I really want to think through this, because Yeah, I do think that there is such great value in what you're doing. I want to say that first and foremost. There's great value in presenting mutual satisfaction and enjoyment and what a healthy sexual relationship tends to look like in the actual real world. I love that. I do think that we're constrained a little bit by human nature. Not all this is not cultural as well. There are some things that we evolve to find really hot that might not be politically correct. And I think that we need to grapple with that honestly too. I do notice even in your movies, I mean, the actors, they're all still really hot. I mean, physically, like, I couldn't find one video of yours on your site where you had like a couple that, and maybe rightly so, who would still want to watch it if you had like two of the ugliest people on the planet having sex with each other, like, is that going to get as many views and purchases on it? So I think, just having an open, honest conversation about like just how far can you take changing it without where you go up against human nature and what the demand is. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but also what you're saying now, like ugly people, or like ugly people porn. What is that? I mean, that's not. We are trying to find people who look different, in all possible sense of what different means. I have lots of women, for example, with fuller body types. We even have some men, not many. Maybe maybe one is in there, because it's. But again, here I come back to the same. With men, it's so difficult. I would like to challenge your audience to think about it, and men who are out there, who are feeling this way, who are feeling, why are we not represented? Honestly, you are not represented because you are not out there. I am trying to find different people, but then remember that we are also talking here about movies where we are actually shooting explicit sex. So
right.
That's a situation where a man is gonna have to hold an erection for a while to be able to, shoot this movie. And it's not easy. I worked with first timers, I worked with some newcomers, and almost every time, it takes hours before we get there. So when I do that kind of a shooting, I have to plan very differently than when I'm working with an experienced adult performer, where I can, imagine that the sex will be shot maybe in 40 minutes, and we're gonna do it between, that hour, and then we're getting into another thing. When I'm shooting with newcomers, or even, couples that I do sometimes who have not, shot adult content before, I need to have, the whole day just for the sex, because I know that there will probably have to be a pause, and we were gonna have to do something else and then get back to it, because people get stage frightened, they get nervous.
You've seen that before?
Yeah. I've seen it again and again and again, and I can tell you, even men who probably are wonderful lovers in real life, and who had a lot of different partners, and who are secure about themselves, suddenly when they end up in front of a camera team at the shooting, the nervous system somehow breaks down, and suddenly.
But that's part of real life too. And I just wonder, like, why not have some movies that shows that, quote, difficulty?
Yeah.
Why does all porn have to? If you want to accurately represent,
yeah, it's a great subject, and we need to talk about it. And I actually, if you go to my site, etc., you watch different films, you will see after a while that there are some films where the penetrative sex, for example, didn't work out that well, and then we concentrate on something else. We get into a wonderful cunnilingus, we do something different.
See, that feels real to me. That feels really real to me, and important to show both young men and women, how sex doesn't always have to be this, a static orgasmic experience on the first try.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what people think, and it's also what porn has made us believe. We think
I
that
agree.
it's just an orgasmic explosion at the same time, pam, 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 and
Yeah, right. Or as you said, just vaginal intercourse.
yeah,
There's
that's also
so many other.
even it's really funny because when you talk about sex, that's what people think
Right.
as sex. When you say, but you can have other kinds of sex, they're like, what is that, other kinds, how do I do that? So I
If
think
you can really expand that, you'll be doing a great thing, I think.
yeah.
The full repertoire of what falls in the umbrella of sexual activity, I think, is far richer and deeper than we give people credit. I mean, you're saying the same thing, so so we agree on that. But you're doing a real credit. Yeah. No, we definitely agree on that. I would I would also like to open up a space more for men who find those kinds of movies hot, your kinds of movies hot as well. I guess I'm all about true inclusivity, if that makes sense. In a sense, not like this is movies for women from a women perspective as well. Ultimately, we're all in this together, men and women and all the other genders.
I totally agree with you, and I think one of the problems also with the adult industry somehow is that most of the content that we have seen has been made by a very small group of men, actually, that are very similar. It's not like we have lots of different creators from different backgrounds, even if they are men. Most of them, they're the same guy, even if he comes from Barcelona or Los Angeles or Buenos Aires or Budapest or London or Berlin. It's the same guy. He likes tits and ass and his car and his cigar and boom, 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 boom. And that's the porn he makes. I mean, obviously, I think that the adult industry needs lots of women because our voices have not really been heard, but it also needs lots of other people with other perspectives, including men, including white, heterosexual, middle-aged men, but with another perspective.
Sure. No, for sure. I think opening up the table for more perspectives, both for men and women, is going to be a plus for society in general. Absolutely. Let's take a brief pause as I talk about one of our sponsors, Care Of. Care Of is a wellness brand that makes it easy to maintain your health goals with a customized vitamin plan that helps you feel your best today and supports you long term. Let's face it, the vitamin aisle can be very confusing. It's hard to know what you need and where to start. Their service is really hassle-free as they deliver vitamins and supplements directly to you. Care Of can make taking your vitamins and supporting your health goals attainable. Their easy online quiz helps you find the vitamins and powders that will support your specific health goals, like improving your fitness routine or managing stress. Care Of is focused on the quality, science, and research that goes into each of their products and recommendations, and they make health easy thanks to their online quiz. You can go on their website and take a short online quiz and answer some questions about their diet, health goals, and lifestyle, and Care Of will recommend a list of vitamins and supplements specifically for your health needs and goals. I took the fun quiz and answered questions such as how much sleep do you get, how often do you work out, and do you follow any specialty diets? They recommended that I take fish oil, magnesium, ashwagandha, and some other supplements to help regulate my stress levels throughout the day and keep my heart healthy. I can say that after using their convenient packets for just a few weeks, I'm feeling much better during my day. For 50% off your first Care Of order, go to takecareof.com/psychology50 and enter code psychology50. Again, for 50% off your first Care Of order, go to takecareof.com/psychology50 and enter code psychology50. This is a really good deal and you won't want to miss out on it. Okay, now back to the show. Would you like to end here with telling me about some of your projects? XConfessions, for instance. Tell us about that.
XConfessions is...
Your eyes lit up.
It's my love. It's my love. I love XConfessions. No, but it's a wonderful, because it's actually a project where anyone can write anonymously their story, their sex fantasy, kinks they have, things they want to see or things they have done. And then what I do together with my team of filmmakers from all around the world, because we are now 50 filmmakers making different short films for this site, we pick the stories and we make films out of them. So you can participate, and then you can comment and you can tell me, what do you want to see?
I can?
Yeah, you can. You can tell me your story. I make you a film. Wow.
Wow. That is so exciting. That is so exciting. Oh boy. Where can our listeners go?
XConfessions.com.
Okay. Thank you.
As easy as that. And you can also, you can have a peek. You can look at all the trailers that's out there. And if you sign up, to a newsletter, you're going to get great offers to get onto the site and free trials, as you said before, and all of that stuff, So you can come, you can dare to come and you can look. And we have making ofs, we have interviews with actors, there's thousands of confessions to read what other people have written and watch all these films that's online.
Okay, so that's one, XConfessions. Tell me about erotic films. Tell me about that.
Oh, erotic films is for people who are not into explicit films, who doesn't want to watch penetrations and penises and vaginas and vulvas, etc. They just want to watch something that is more sensual, but they do want to see, the situation and the attraction and the passion and all of that part. They should go to eroticfilms.com. And they will not be bothered by nasty pop-ups and stuff they don't want displayed in front of their eyes, And it's also a site that I know that some, younger people are interested in because it's not explicit. So I have some friends who have, teens who let them watch it sometimes. And then I also have online LustCinema.com, which is a cinema online with kind of feature films and series. It's adult content, but they are, I would say it's like, maybe it's more like American style studio, because we work a lot with American performers, American directors. Most of the directors are women. And I think that the stories are intriguing. It's the kind of stories, where you get to know a character and you want to watch more about what is happening to these characters.
Yeah, I saw one of these Australian films that was so super interesting. Like, I was engrossed in the plot. So interesting. This woman stole this guy's car, and then anyway, whatever. Okay, so it was really
if you're tired of Netflix, you can always.
It was actually a good movie. It was actually a good movie, and it was hot for sure. It was hot. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. Right? Tell me a little bit about your nonprofit. I mean, you're a busy person over there. You also started a nonprofit called the Porn Conversation. Is that right?
Yep, I did. That's because I'm a parent, and it's because I'm a parent and I have the job I have. I had so many, other parents coming up to me saying, "Hey, Erika, how do you do it? Like, what do you tell your daughters? How do you, I mean, what should we do? The world, porn is out there. It's destroying all our kids. How are we going to face this, And then I realized that actually I'm definitely not the only one who have to have the porn conversation with my daughters, because we are all going to have that conversation sooner or later. And if we don't have it, we leave it to the tube sites online to have it with our kids. So I could totally recommend
or their boyfriends, or their girlfriends,
or their girlfriends, or
girlfriend. Yeah, that's true.
Because the world today,
that's true.
Is very different from when I grow up. I was born in 1977, and when I grew up, it was difficult to find porn. It was not not on any mobile or iPad or computer out there. I had to struggle to get the.
Oh, I know. Trust me, I was born not 79. I had to wait an hour for a GIF to fully load of Cindy Crawford wearing a bathing suit. Well, I didn't even see that. I was it was like in a bathing suit, No, I hear you.
But so I think it's the idea with the pornconversation.org is to orient parents, especially, how to have these conversations. So it's a site where you can download different PDF files for different age groups, because obviously it's very different if your kid is 9 or if your kid is 16, but I would recommend you to talk about it. I would recommend you to don't be shy about it. I would recommend you to not judge, but to tell them how you feel about it, how you feel about the chauvinistic style that's really out on that site.
Oh boy! Well, thank you so much, Erika, for chatting with me today, and I wish you and your mission in the world very well. And I hope that all of us can learn to have healthier, more positive, and fulfilling, satisfying sex with each other.
I definitely hope so. And now with all the virus situation we have in the world, what else are we gonna do? It's like we can't be 1 meter from each other, or is it 2? So, I mean.
Have you gotten any blowback from some of these mainstream pornographers of what you're doing? Has any of them criticized it at all?
Of course. I mean, if you stand out, and you do something different, then you are, criticizing part of the industry. Obviously, there will be people criticizing you, but also, I mean, this is no news. I'm a woman. I'm, talking my mind. There will always be people not liking me, and I will have to accept that.
It's one of the hardest things in life, and once we can do it, the sky's the limit. Once we can fully accept that. That's gonna. Well, you go, Erika Lust, you go. I'm gonna
go and make some dinner for my girls.
Oh, that's great. Thanks so much for chatting with me today.
Have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Psychology Podcast. If you'd like to react in some way to something you heard, I encourage you to join in on the discussion at thepsychologypodcast.com. That's thepsychologypodcast.com. If you can, please add a rating and review on iTunes. I read all of the reviews and really appreciate your feedback. Also, for additional exclusive must-listen-to episodes, check out our new Patreon page at patreon.com/psychpodcast. That's patreon.com/psychpodcast. Thanks for being such a great supporter of the show, and tune in next time for more on the mind, brain, behavior, and creativity.